Hey, well, welcome to week 3 of our C Group series on radical generosity. So this is the week that if you're cynical, I'm gonna challenge you to not let yourself get a hard heart, because this is the week we're talking about being generous with our money. And this can be a hard thing to talk about because so many people feel like, oh, well, they're just in it for my money and they want our money, they want our money. Listen, I'm just gonna give you a really important biblical truth, okay? God does not need your money. God desires your heart. And so it's one of those things where if God is who he says he is, then he is not dependent on the 10% of our income that he calls us to give, right? It's not that he needs it. So why does he ask us to do it, right? Because a lot of us get frustrated and cynical around money because we think that God needs something from us, when in reality, it's like when I'm going out the door and my 2-year-old likes to run up and help me with my backpack. I put my computer, my laptop in a backpack, and if I don't have both straps firmly on my shoulders, he runs up and says, Dad, you need to fix your strap. I'll do it. And he leans down and pulls the strap over my shoulder and he's like, there, I fixed it for you. And nothing in me is like, oh man, I'm so glad you fixed that, because if you, my 2-year-old, didn't put the backpack strap on my shoulder, I don't think I could have got it done, right? That's not why that's a fun interaction for me. Nothing in me needs him to do that. But listen, as his dad, I really love that he wants to help me. I love that he loves me. I love that he's engaged with me and notices me and wants to be involved in my day, right? And so nothing that he gives me is anything that I need, but it's very much something that I enjoy. God feels really similarly about us and our stuff. God doesn't need our stuff, but he wants our hearts, because it's good for our hearts to be generous with our money. It prevents money from being an idol. It prevents money from controlling us. And at the end of the day, it prevents money from rotting our hearts because we're obsessed with it, right? And so when we can train ourselves to hold on to our stuff loosely, our hearts will more rapidly develop an affection and priority for God and who he is. And so as we talk about being generous with our money, listen, when you're generous with your money, good things happen in the world around you, right? We can fund missions, we can help the hungry, we can help the homeless, we can advance the gospel, we can do things in our ministry when you're generous with our money. But at the end of the day, if you did not give a cent, the mission of the gospel at Maryland Community Church would still happen. Why? Because the mission of the gospel is not dependent on you and I, it's dependent on the sovereignty of God. He asks us to play a part in it because it's good for our souls. And so as we enter into this discussion about money, let's just remember, God doesn't need your stuff, he wants your heart. And so how is your heart connected to your money? What does generosity look like for you as you think about your stuff, as you think about your treasure? What does it look like for you to be generous with that? And what's maybe God want to do with your heart over the next week and even in the next hour as we have this conversation, right? So I'm going to let you guys talk about this, and I'm going to pray that if you're a cynic, if you're mad, if you're coming into this wary, that God would soften your heart and give you a bigger picture for what he wants from you than your checkbook, because God's got more money than we do, right?